Alright, so now we're going to look at material tags. We have tag by category here and a regular text tag, or a text note tag by category, which is reading off of the information included in this floor. So select that floor and I go to edit type. It's reading the type comments and putting those in there. So if I change that here, it'll change it here, and for every one of these floors that's inserted, that will tag that way. The text tag is just text. So the next thing we're going to do is a material tag. So if we go to annotate, you'll get material tag, and it will go in and it will look at the materials, typically the description of the material, and tag that. So you see, if I go over this steel, right, this steel detail does not, oh, it's looking at the floor right there. It's not actually going to the detail, but these have not been called out, right? But this has as a steel 3, 4, to 5. But if I click on this and drag down, right, it'll ask me, it'll say, by the way, whatever I'm reading has not been defined. So what is it reading? It's reading the material description. So if I select that, go to edit type, edit the structure, edit that concrete cast in place, which is what's there, right? That's the material that it's pointing to. If we go to identity, the description is not filled in. So I could call this cast in place concrete, right? And click OK. And then click OK, click OK, and that will say cast in place concrete. And because this is the same material as that, I can now material tag this and it will say cast in place concrete, right? If I come into the rigid insulation, I can pick it, come down, and if I select this little question mark here and change this to rigid insulation, left click outside of there, and I go back and look and edit type and get all the way to that material for the insulation, right? Oh, that's the thermal barrier. Sorry, we want the rigid insulation. Go to identity, right? It'll show rigid insulation there. So if you fill it in here, it'll come in there. Again, if you select this tag and edit that family, you can control what information it's reading by editing the label, right? So here's the options that you have for material, which are pretty, short. You could actually do the material name instead of the description, right? So if I pull that back, click OK, load that into project, overwrite the existing version, and you'll see that it'll just go get the name of the material, right, instead of the description, which is a little wordy, right, which is probably why they don't use it. And then again, similarly to these, you can pick this, go to edit type, and change the arrow. The text you have to change in the family. So that's one of the sort of downsides of having all of these different tags tagging by category, is that they go in, or by material, is that you have to go into each one of these and adjust them. So here's the material one, right? So if we look at material tag, it's the material identity description by default, or you can update it. This is the tag by category, looking at the floor, and then this is the text. So you can try those, and it depends really on what you want to tag. So if you went, most of the time you would go to annotate and tag by category and see what comes up. So you see there's no structural framing tag, so I can go in and load one, and I would go to structural and scroll down to framing. Doesn't have structural framing tag. So you see you can tag a whole bunch of things with structural framing, but I'm just going to pick the default one, click open, and now it will tell me that it looks like it's doing the type name, right? So over there. There we go. So it's doing the type name. So if I pick that, you'll see there's the type name. Okay. All right. So that's tagging. So you can go in and tag using any of these. I will warn you that oftentimes in more organized offices, you're going to have some version of tag by category or tag by material. There's also a keynoting that you can do, but we're not going to do that in class. So the text is easy, but it's not parametric, right? So if I were to update any of these materials, every single tag would update, right? Which is pretty amazing. So give that some consideration. All right.